We've got everything ready for the next step of making our gate. My base is dry. I've glued my dowels into my posts. This is dry. See how this makes a nice base? I took this over to the Sandiflex wheel and I sanded the edge to make it nice and smooth because I don't want it scratching up my varnished top here. I've varnished the top and the bottom pieces here, so they're finished. I re-drilled my holes, so everything's ready to go. So now I'm going to position these in place where I want them. I want to get the best attitude to this. Let's put our horse on here, get him centered. I like to set them off just a little, either one side or the other. Now normally I would have his reins tied to the gate. We might do that in this case, but we'll work on that later. So we position our horse about where we want him. That looks pretty good. Let's move him back closer to the gate. I think that looks nice. I think you'll agree that that makes a nice presentation, which is what we're after. Okay, so now let's take the horse away. Now we have to figure out our gates. Remember, we want these leaning back just a little, and we want them spread. We don't want them straight up and down like that. We want to keep them fairly straight down here on the bottom to anchor our gate, but we still want a little spread if possible, just for a pleasing effect. And that's about it right there. So now what I want to do is measure that distance across there. And let's say it's 5 inches, because it's 5 inches. Whoops, let's say it's 4 3/4 down here, and 5 1/2 down here. Well, I'm going to make it 4 3/4. See what happens, okay? 4 3/4. Let me write that down before I forget it. 4 3/4. Okay. Now I've cut me some strips of wood here, out of basswood. These are 3/8 inches wide by 1/8 thick. Got me 3 strips, that'll be enough. I've got my block piece for the sign, which will go up top here, and I'm not sure of the exact width of the sign yet, but we've got plenty of wood to play around with. So holding the top up here or the sign up here at the top, let's measure up from the bottom, and it's about 8 inches, okay? These are kind of loose, but don't worry about that. This is all going to be glued or epoxied in place. 8 inches. So I'm going to make a standard gate, standard ranch gate, and I'm going to use 3 pieces. It's going to be 3 pieces thick, like this, okay? But I only need to cut 2 pieces 8 inches long, and I'm going to do that over on the bandsaw. Actually, I'm not going to cut them 8 inches long. I'm going to cut them about 7 inches long on this side, okay? So I'll just make me a mark there. And I'll go over to the bandsaw and cut them off. I have my 2 8-inch pieces here. Seven inches, I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about that 8-inch measurement. I was wondering what those finger signals Judy was giving me there. It's dangerous when your wife starts giving you finger signals. Okay, now this side over here, I want shorter than this side over here, and you'll see why here later on. So on this side, I'm going to make it, let's see here, let's make it 5 inches. So I'll measure down 5 inches, and I'll go over to the bandsaw and cut that off. Alright, I got my 5-inch piece here, my 7-inch piece here, and while I was over there I cut me some pieces, 4 pieces here, 4 3/4 inches long, which is our widest point on here, okay? So now what I want to do is I'm going to substitute this piece, kind of long there, for this piece. Getting confusing? It won't be here in a minute. And I'm going to lay that right there, just eyeball it, okay? Then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to lay it here just to eyeball it. And then I'm going to space these two in between like that, okay? And then kind of line them up evenly spaced here. Just like that. That one down a little. That one down a little. Okay. Now I'm going to make me a mark here and here. Now I want pieces. These are going to be spacers, so I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that right? We'll see. And I'm going to go cut these off at the bandsaw. I've got my little spacers here. I cut a few extra because I probably didn't count right as usual. So I'm going to lay this piece here. I'm going to put this piece here. I'll put this piece here. I'll put this piece here. Put that piece there. That piece there. And that piece there. Okay? Now on the other side, I guess I should have done this ahead of time. Huh? Well, that wasn't very smart, was it? Let's start over here. That piece goes there. Spacer. Spacer. Next piece. Spacer. Spacer. Next piece. Spacer. Spacer. Hey, looky there, I come out right. And the next piece. Okay, now we put our other 5-inch piece on this one, like that. And we put our other piece on this one, like that. Okay, now we only have to cut one more piece. Actually, 2 more pieces. But we got this piece here for this one. You'll see why that sticks up here in just a minute. And we'll have to cut a piece for this one here. Which will be line that up there. That long. And I'm going to go cut that one on the bandsaw. Alright, I got my last piece here. I'm going to put it in here. And I'm going to lay that one on there. Like that. That needs to go up. That needs to come out. Anyway, you see where I'm going here? Before the whole thing falls apart. Now I'm going to glue this all together. That's what these are for, to hold it together after I glue all these pieces together. And then I'm going to set that aside to dry. Now the reason I did it this way, besides making it look like a typical ranch gate, and a good looking ranch gate, is because I'm going to have to drill 2 holes in here and here to hold that onto this point here, and 2 holes here and here to hold it on this point over here. Okay? And those spacers fill up those voids to allow me to drill those holes anywhere that I need to drill them. Okay? I know it's a little intricate and everything, but you'll see the finished product will really look snazzy when it's put up here. The reason this is high on this side and this is low on this side is generally on a gate like this, because of the span of it and it's built out of wood, we're going to run a wire from up here down to this point and then twist a little piece of wood in here, and what that does is that keeps your gate square, just sort of like one of those braces on a screen door. Alright, so right now I'm going to go ahead and glue this up. Okay, in gluing these up, you might find a little trick to do that. I'm using the edge of my bench here and a couple of triangles to keep everything square while I glue this up. I've ran glue up each post, so now I'm just placing the spacers in as I go up. Oops. Good thing you can't see the outtakes of this video process. You'd probably switch channels a long time ago. Usually if you press these things down in place, they'll pretty well stay where you want them. Is that right? Judy, I'm going nuts again. Oh, spacer, excuse me. And a spacer. Now I'll run one more strip of glue up the full length here. Put my 2 pieces on. Make sure they're the right pieces. I hate getting old. They say the mind's the first to go, and by God, I believe them. Now, I got a lot of squeeze out here, but that's all right. We're not worried about that right now. Put that together. Line her up one last time here, make sure we got everything good and square. And it looks good and square. Glued it to my triangle. Now very gently I'm going to try to get these clothespins on here. Without throwing everything off kilter. So there we go, and now we got our gate. Okay. Now I think I'll go over and get me a wet brush and see if I can't clean up a lot of that glue squeeze out, and then I'll set this aside to dry. Okay? And then we'll come back and we'll hopefully mate it up with those two poles. While I was waiting for my gate to dry, I went ahead and I painted this. What I did, I painted it a real light tan. Then I came back over it and dry brushed on raw sienna and yellow ochre. Just dry brushed it on there, and as you can see, the texture of the Bondo and the dry brushing really gives you a nice, nice appealing surface there for your horse to stand on. And then as a last step, I went and took some dark burnt umber and brushed around the edges, which sort of acts as a frame when you put it on the stand like that, see? Now on the gate, remember I told you one side was higher than the other, and there I've put on my little wire stretcher to keep it straight. I just drilled a couple holes in each end and used some real small gauge wire to run through there and twist it around and put my little stick in there, burn a little detail on it, and then super glued it in place. On the gate, to hold it to the poles, like I mentioned, I doweled it. There's a dowel right there, and there's a dowel right there. On this side, there's a dowel right there.
Can't see it. There, all right.
Right there it is, and right there it is. Okay, you just drill a hole right through that center spacer that we put in there, and then into your pole. Okay? Can't really see where they went in there. The fit was so good. Right there and right there. And I'm not even going to glue those dowels and this all together, because it fits so well that once I put it on the base, once we glue it here, that gate is never going to come out of there, because those dowels, I use 1/8 inch dowel, those dowels go in there about like that. Okay? I went ahead and did that. I didn't figure I needed to show you every step. You should be able to figure some of these things out. So our gate and our poles are finished. All right? Now there's just a couple more little things. Oh, one more thing. Oh, I got it. Put her all together. I also went and carved the Band-Aid on the back end of my horse there, just to give it a little more interest. It's things like that that make people buy carvings. And I made my sign. I'm going to call this one the Hard Luck Horse Ranch. It's going to have a saying on it, you may not read it. It says, "We may have started with nothing, but we've managed to hang on to most of it." It's about the way it is around here. So anyway, this one will go up here at a slant. I haven't really figured which way. But anyway, after the sign is painted, I'll nail that on there with some nails. Looks like it's going to go that way. We'll see here. Never can tell where these things, how these things turn out. Anyway, got that done. Horse is done. Gate, poles are done. Base is done. But I got to put a couple more things here on the gate, and that's hinges. Got to put some hinges on here. Now I make these little hinges just out of pieces of tin, and what I do is I cut a little length of tin, I squeeze it together like that, and then I'll grip the closed end here where it's bent with my pliers and bend it back the opposite direction. And then I'll take an awl and I'll punch some holes in there and sand off the backs to get rid of the ragged edge. Put a little corner, sand off a little corner on each one. And these will go right on here like that. And like that. Okay? And to put them on there, you just use little nails like these right here. And always pre-drill your holes. A little drill out of here. Pre-drill your holes so it doesn't split. We're down to the point that we can't afford a goof up. So I'm going to drill a hole right here. Up there. Bring that around straight. I know those will go through the other side, so what I'm going to do is just snip them off so they won't show. Always brace your things because you certainly don't want anything busting now. There you go, we got a hinge on there. I won't do the other one because we want to move along here. We'll do it later. One more thing. I made me a little hook and eye closer here, because you certainly got to keep that gate closed. And that's going to go right here. So I want to position it to where I want it to go. Right there. I have to drill out a bigger hole. Let's see here. Good. Center in. Now I'm going to hook. Hook it in there. And then find out where to drill my hole. Which looks to be about right at the top of that thing. About right there. I think it's going to be okay. Another thing that happens when you get old is your fingers get thick. I wonder why that is. to go any farther, I want to put that little doodad in its matching hole, just like that. Actually, I think I might want to turn that around. Like that. Just like that. See, now the gate's closed. So, all I gotta do is add that second hinge now. And like that. So there's our gate. There's our horse. Now we're going to put this horse down with dowels and 3 legs and anchor the top to the base. Once I get my horse in place, I could do that now, but we'll wait and do that in another latter video. Once I get my horse in place and my dowel holes drilled and everything and the horse mounted down there, I'm going to put a nail under each foot to hold this top piece in place, and that will be good enough. Those nail heads will be hidden by the horse's hooves and it'll be fine. And then we put our last thing we'll do is, or one of the last things we'll do is nail our sign up here once we get it painted. And that's going to make a pretty spiffy little carving, and I'll bet you it don't hang around the gallery very long. So, that does it for making the base. The only thing left to do now, aside from knocking on this hinge, is to do a little burning here and there on the horse and maybe a little on my sign, and get out the paint set and a couple of brushes and get to work, and this thing will be finished. So until the next video, I'll say I'll see you later.